So I collect almost nothing from DC at this point, but I did decide to go with this one. They're doing a new Peacemaker, I believe it's 6 issue series. I don't think it says anything on there about 6 issues, but I think when I read the solicitation and it said it was 6 issues. So this is book one. For whatever reason, they always. Oh, I got the variant cover. So this is the variant cover. This is their Black Label imprint. One of the things I was a little curious about with Black Label is they seem to censor their profanity, and I didn't understand why. If this was for mature audiences, why not just go for it? And I thought, well, maybe DC just doesn't allow profanity even in their Black Labels. Well, apparently I was wrong because there is a lot of profanity, and they're not holding back in this one. So this is another Peacemaker book, but this was by Garth Ennis, and I think it came out last year. To anyone who doesn't know who Peacemaker is, he was a Charlton character. He was a peace through any means, or but the original character was intended to be just a hero. I don't believe he was particularly violent. I've never read the stories, but it was not meant to be ironic. He was trying to find peace. He was trying to uh, facilitate peace. This story is very serious. There is not any joking. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to give away stuff, but I'm not going to try and hide spoilers. Basically, the thing I didn't love about this story is that this is the only time you ever see Peacemaker in his outfit. Okay, and there's only one time he's ever even referred to as Peacemaker, and it appears to be some kind of code name because he's in the military. He's approached by a psychiatrist, and she's asking questions about the fact that when he goes on missions, not only do the enemy seem to die at a very high rate, but also his teammates seem to die at a very high rate. And so she's trying to figure out, and as she's talking to him, she becomes increasingly horrified by this guy because he seems to be a sociopath. And at one point, I believe she asks, "Are you going to kill me?" And so the book doesn't really spell out exactly whether he is a hero or a villain, but it seems like the people he's killing, his teammates, had it coming to him, or they're corrupt also. So he's just not just killing people; he's killing people that he believes are bad. And I think the defining line is at the end when. So the word peace can mean several things. It can mean sort of the absence of fighting, the absence of war, or it can mean a kind of a state of tranquility. And so the point of this is that it's the second. He's thinking of it in the second term, which is a tranquility. And so in the last frame, it shows him talking to her, and there's a graveyard there, and he says, "Look at how peaceful it is," which is kind of him saying, "I create peace by killing people." And so it's again, I was hoping that Garth Ennis would explore more of the idea of the irony of peace through violence in the movie. John Cena famously says, "I will kill any man, woman, or child who stands in the way of peace," and it's completely said ironically. The writer knew exactly what he was doing when he wrote that, and this was kind of the. I think it was probably Alan Moore that started recognizing this idea, and so his character of the comedian was based on Peacemaker, but comedian was not a hero. He was extraordinarily violent, and so that was kind of his idea of Peacemaker, and so Peacemaker became sort of a villain, but it's kind of he's just a bit confused, and so the movie Suicide Squad, and more so the show, really kind of fleshed out his very difficult upbringing and what caused him to become the person he is, that he will do anything for peace, which is including killing people, which is the obvious irony of it. So this new series, this is not anything like the Garth Ennis. This is, so you can see here, he kind of looks a little like John Cena. And it's very much as if he were writing it for an episode of the TV show, which the TV show, it does have some seriousness in it, but it has a lot of comedy. And so I was pretty impressed by this. I thought that there was some really, some good writing in it. I think maybe whoever the writer is, Starks, I'm not sure who he is, Kyle Starks. I think that maybe he went a little overboard with making Peacemaker kind of almost like a simpleton. And I know that John Cena, in his character, was kind of sometimes a little bit dim, but he had a lot of, he was a complex character. And so this is just the first issue, so we'll see where it goes. It's a bit more into the DC universe, because although there were references in the TV show, they kind of strayed away. I mean, it was clear that Peacemaker is living in the DCU, but they kind of strayed away from getting that involved in the various characters. Whereas here we have Mishura Mala and the Brain, who are two venerable DC characters. So we're getting a little bit more into kind of the DC stuff. Now it's funny because there's Christopher Smith. He's just excited because he says, "Is that a monkey with a heavy machine gun?" So he's just thrilled to see Mishura Mala, and they're not exactly happy because he's not a monkey; he's a gorilla. So I'm not going to show any of the. You might have seen if I flip through the profanity, because I just don't really want to use profanity on my. I don't care about using profanity, but I don't use it on my YouTube channel. But I will say that I'm going to keep getting this series because I am interested in it. It didn't seem to get. It got pretty good reviews. It didn't get a lot of reviews, and it didn't get a lot of user ratings on Comic Book Roundup. So that's an aggregate site for comic books. So I don't know. Maybe people are not that interested in Peacemaker. I would love to see a Peacemaker story that is more serious. Maybe not this level. I want like an exploration, and I think it would be. And I always go back. I know the same. I'm like a broken record, but I think it would be really cool if Tom King did a 12-issue series on Peacemaker. Because I think he could do a really interesting job of fleshing out the character, and I wouldn't really want him to use the TV show version. You can kind of make a lot of similarities, his abusive upbringing and things like that, without going to the silliness, because I think there is. It's a very complex character. It has become complex. The original character was, as far as I know, very simple. Just a guy who was not superpowered and sought peace. So I think this series is worth getting. It came out, this book came out last week. So if you like the television program, this definitely is in the exact same vein. There are jokes in here that could have been directly. I didn't really research it, but I was like, well, I don't know who Kyle Starks is. Maybe he was one of the writers on the TV program. I don't know. Although I think that oh gosh, the director, and I can't remember his name now. I think he was the writer too. Let's see. What's his name? James Gunn. I think James Gunn wrote it. So I don't know. It would be interesting if James Gunn wrote a comic book. But in the end, yeah, I'll give this a recommendation. I think that, I can't remember if I gave it 4 or 5 stars, but I will recommend it. I think it's a good start, and we'll see where it goes.